U.S. Congressional Executive Commission published a report on Thursday, considered the evidences about China's crimes in East Turkestan, and said China is possibly carrying out a genocide against the Uyghurs and other Turkic Muslims. The report called for a formal determination on whether genocide is being committed by China in the region by the U.S. 2 weeks ago, Michael Sobolik, whose work was covering on the American and the Chinese grand strategy in the American Foreign Policy Council, also called the Trump administration to formally recognize China's genocide. The Chinese government had always been denying the genocide, but the Chinese embassy accidentally admitted it just a few days ago by tweeting that they prevented Uyghur women from becoming baby-making machines. The report urged members of the U.S. Congress and administration officials to call on the Chinese government to end mass arbitrary detention, immediately seize all coercive homestay programs and all programs involving forced labor, and seize all placement of children in orphanages, welfare centers, and boarding schools without the consent of a parent or a guardian. The report also urged members of the Congress to highlight the religious freedom aspect of human rights abuses in the region as part of a concerted public diplomacy campaign to enlist broader condemnation of China's treatment of Muslim ethnic minorities. It also urges American universities to provide support to the Uyghur, Hui, Kazakh, and the Kyrgyz students at their institution who are Chinese nationals to ensure that they are able to study in a safe environment free from threats and intimidation from Chinese government officials, and to provide scholarships or other financial assistance to students whose parents or guardians have been detained in mass internment camps. Dr. Erkin Akram, the director of the Uyghur Research Institute, said that the U.S. congressional report is very important. He hopes other countries will also follow the suit. He also said even though his residential country, Turkey, did not publicly put pressure on China to stop its crimes against the Turkic Muslims, they are long supporting Uyghur students whose parents or guardians have been detained in China. The U.S. government is now blocking cotton and tomato imports from China's colonized country, East Turkestan, over concerns that they are harvested and processed by slave laborers. 20% of the world cotton is produced by slave laborers in East Turkestan, and the tomato products grown in the region are directly involved with China's production and the construction corps. Population of these corps consists of more than 2.8 million, according to 2016 Chinese statistics. The main target of those military forces is to help Chinese police and the Chinese Standing Army to control, oppress, and perform murder exercise against the people of East Turkestan. According to Hong Kong CNN Business News, the U.S. Defense Department on Thursday added 9 Chinese firms, including Xiaomi, to a list of companies they claim are owned or controlled by China's military. Businesses on the list are subject to harsh restrictions, including a ban on American investment. The Pentagon's list also included the Commercial Aircraft Corporation of China, a major state-owned Chinese plane maker that the country wants to build up as an alternative to Boeing and Airbus. It seems the Trump administration is bringing more damage to Chinese businesses just a few days before the president-elect Joe Biden takes the office. Canada is urging its allies to work together with them against China's aggressive diplomacy. We have a tremendous level of alignment, not just with the United States, but with the allies around the world, to continually bring up the question of the coercive diplomacy that China is increasingly using, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said in an interview at the Reuters Next Summit that aired on Thursday. Outspoken Canadian MP Garnet Jennings expressed his hope in an interview with the Voice of East Turkestan podcast this Friday. He says he is hopeful to see broader alliance of governments, perhaps with the new Biden administration leadership and with Canada's important role to respond to China's threats. Ruqya Turdush, an ethnic Uyghur Canadian and a researcher at the Uyghur Research Institute, said that Uyghur Canadians also hope the Canadian government plays a leading role with allies around the world against not only China's detention of Canadians, but also China's detention of several millions of Turkic Muslims.